and welcome to another seasonal card. Today I am using the Bow Bunny Mistletoe collection to create a card, and this is a bold collection. It has deep emerald greens, it has touches of blue. I'm going to be concentrating on the green and the red today, and I'm using a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base, and I've pre-cut my elements so that I can put them on the layout of the card. And then at the bottom of the card, I'm going to add some of the sticky Canson photo corners. And I'm only going to put them onto the pattern paper, not onto the actual white card base. And then I'll stick them right back onto that card base. Now I want to add some vintage looking lace. This is from We Are Memory Keepers. You can also use whatever lace you have on hand. And the way that I do lace is I use double-sided red sticky tape, and I adhere it to the bottom of the back of the pattern paper cardstock I'm using, and then I trim off the excess tape. It's a very sticky tape, and I suggest that you don't use your best scissors when you're using this. And then you peel off that red backing, and you might not be able to tell from the video, but it leaves the clear tape on the pattern paper. So then I'm going to stick the lace directly onto that sticky, and then I'll turn over the pattern paper and trim off the excess lace. So that's how I add a heavier fabric to my creations. So I'm also going to use glue dots to hold this down because the lace is a little bit heavier. We'll adhere that right at the top. So from their journaling cards pattern paper, I've cut this tag out, and I'm going to cut around the tag so that there is still that element of the emerald green bordering the entire tag. Then I'm going to use a standard hole punch and punch out that top circle so that I can thread some ribbon through the top. And I'm going to thread my ribbon by folding it in half. And then I'm going to thread the loop through the front of the card. And then I'm going to thread the ribbon ends through the loop. And then pull gently because it's pattern paper and it could rip. So just gently pull your ribbon until it's taut. And then I'm going to cut the ends at a diagonal. You could use fabric scissors, or if your standard scissors are still sharp, you can use those. And we're going to go ahead and adhere this to the card, just using some glue dots to hold it in place. Always use glue dots when you have an element that has a little bit more weight. Okay, at the bottom of the card, I want to add a little bit of a border strip. I'm going to use a office hole punch. There are several different companies that make this particular type of punch. I will link you to them. It reminds me of a notebook that's been torn out of a notebook paper that's been torn out of a notebook. We'll trim off the excess of the border strip. We'll measure about how long it needs to be. And then rather than just leave it all nice and straight like this, I'll use my fingers to crumple it up a little bit. Because let's be honest, when we're pulling notebook paper out, it doesn't look perfect. I even ripped one of them on purpose. You could also distress the edges with brown ink. And I'm going to attach that right at the bottom of the tag, and then I'm going to further lift it up with my fingers. All right, now I'm going to use a scallop circle punch. It is 2 inches. And I'm going to punch a circle with the scalloped edge from craft cardstock. And then I'm going to use some stamping ink to ink up the edges. And I try to keep a brown stamping ink that's slightly darker than my darkest craft cardstock. We'll add that to the card with dots. Then I'm going to use this Merry Christmas chipboard sticker. This is from the Basic Gray Aspen Frost, or rather the My Mind's Eye Christmas collection. And I'll just start marrying products together until I get a look that I like. I liked the red in this. I thought it matched perfectly. So then I have some wooden buttons that I've tied with twine. You'll notice that I'm using craft photo corners, craft circle punch, and then craft buttons. When you're using an element or a color, try and use it at least 3 times on your projects. Trim up the excess, and then I have a smaller. Work in scales. Work with a large, a medium, and a small when you're using 3, or a large and a small when you're using 2. And then Jenny Bullen has these really darling mini file folders. They can be used to hold journaling, pocket, receipts, anything you want. I'm going to use this tiny little craft one. I thought it was really cute, and I'm going to adhere this to the side of the tag. And I'm going to adhere this down so that it doesn't have any additional weight. Lift up the tag just a smidge. We're going to tuck that in so it just sticks out a little bit. So it's an unexpected element on a Christmas card, but I think that it works really well. So there you have a Christmas card featuring the Bo Bunny Mistletoe collection. Be sure to visit my blog for the complete supply list.